So before we create the ball with code, we need to, well, first we need to remove it from here, so let's just delete that. Then we need to create our arrow. This arrow is going to show the user where he's going to start the game. So we need to create and add this on the floor. Then we add the arrow on the floor, and once the user taps on the screen, then game is on. We replace the arrow with the game node, and the game, well, the boxes will appear exactly 3 meters in front of the user on the floor. So in order to do this, I'm going to reuse some code that we have typed before, and that's the code we used for the measuring app. So if you remember, we used the renderer to move the arrow and the pointer on the floor or on surfaces. This is pretty much the exact same thing we need to do, and just one exception: we'll actually have to make sure that we know what the Euler angle is as well. So let's go to the view controller, and I have cleaned this up. As you can see in advance, this is just as usual, so make sure you have the scene view deleget and a configuration. We will add our plane detection, so configuration.plane detection equals, we really just need horizontal for this one, because as soon as we recognize the floor, we're done. Okay, and then view will disappear. Good. So if you open the measuring app, and I've got this here, if you go to the view controller, you have, so obviously, all the codes that we built together in the previous section. And we are going to reuse quite a lot of this code actually. So we are going to need an arrow node, and we won't need positions. Yes, we will actually, for the renderer to be quite smooth. Okay, we'll get an average position again. So first point, we don't need this, that was really just for measuring. Touches began, we will need that as well, but not all of it. It's really just once. We'll just replace our arrow with the game node, and then every time we tap, we will throw a ball. So this is going to be different. View did load, so yes, here we will need the center, and we'll need to add our arrow node. Okay, so if I first take this, copy and paste here in my view controller, but obviously our center and arrow don't exist yet, so let's go to our other project. How am I going to do this? And if you scroll right at the top, so we have an arrow and a center that we need here, and also our positions. In fact, all the way from, so let's remove some spaces here. I need the center, the arrow, the positions, this renderer as well actually, and get average position. So all of this, copy, and in here I'm going to paste. So let's just paste this at the top in here. Now this should be happier. Okay, all good. Now we also have a couple more in here, so let's just carry on. So we have a touches began, did rotate, yes, that was actually important. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so view will disappear, etc. We don't need all of that. Actually, in fact, we only had feature points. We didn't even need to recognize planes. Check this out. Okay, so in our configuration here, we don't actually need this. Good. So the renderer now is going to update the position of our arrow, but we don't have an arrow created yet. So I need to make sure I've got an arrow.scn. So here I can show in Finder, copy and paste, and this is going to be renamed arrow. Okay, and my arrow in here, I'm going to delete everything in the scene. But now I have the same directional, ambient, and scene. So that's good. That saves some time. I'm going to call this arrow. And so in here, what I need to do is to first drag some torus. There we go. And this torus is going to be inside of the arrow. Oops. Okay, and it's going to be in the center. Let's make it much smaller first. So 0.02 for the pipe radius. The ring radius is going to be 0.15. And in here, we just want 0.00. And that way we understand where the floor is. Okay. Actually, I can make this a bit smaller. 0.15 and 0.0, let's just say, actually, let's keep a 2 like this, and I'm going to make this flatter. So in order to do that, I'm going to select this torus and go here to the scale. So if I move like this, you will see that I can now make it an oval, basically. But that's not what we want exactly. We want here to be at 0.2. Now this makes it a flat torus, basically. Maybe 0.3. Yeah, so it's rounded but flat, so we can see a bit better what we're doing. I'm going to raise it slightly above, so yeah, about 0.1, and then create 1 and 2 more by dragging this y-axis and keeping the Alt or Option key at the same time. Good, so now that we have that, let's add the arrow. So let's create a cylinder, which is going to be much smaller. So the height is 0.3 and the radius is going to be 0. Say, not 3 actually, 0.3. Okay, so yeah, that's actually still a little bit big. Let's just do a 2. Okay. I can put the cylinder inside of this arrow, which is exactly at the origin of the scene. My 2 other toruses as well. Okay, great. So this cylinder here is not in position. I'm going to do 0.00. And so this should be, yeah, 0.16. And here I'm going to drag now the pyramid. Which is really small. So the pyramid is going to be 0. What is it? Let's say 0.5. Let's try this. So 0.005, 0.05, and same here. Yeah, okay, great. And we need to obviously orientate this down. So the X Euler is going to be 180. And then we're going to drag this down. So here I want this to be, so inside of my arrow, and it needs to be at 0. So this should be a 0.5 because that's the size, the height of it. And Z 0. Okay, So let's have a look. That's good. The cylinder is still too big, so I'm going to put it higher, and this is going to be, let's say, 1. Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, so the pyramid and the cylinder are going to be just an arrow, so I'm going to create a node for that. So let's just drag an empty node inside of the arrow. Make sure it's exactly at 0. Why did this move? Zero point 0.05, and this pyramid, okay, this, yes, it's at 0. Okay, so I'm going to drag those two, and that's going to be my arrow again. And this arrow, we can then flatten this node, okay, and just get some red color. Great, so let's remove this one, and now we have our red color. So it's maybe a bit too red. Okay, I think that looks really good. So let's maybe actually move this one here and make those transparent slightly. So in here we can drag the opacity down for the color. So now we can see through and see the arrow. Great. Okay, so we've got our arrow, and it's going to add, so yes, the whole of the scene graph here, because this is the root node that we are adding from here. So let's now just run and see if this works. Okay, great. So we've got the arrow, we can see through, and it's just following nicely where we're looking. And as you can see, we've got a smooth movement as well. So if I try to be quick, it struggles to follow. I think that's really nice. Great, so next step, we need to tap and replace this arrow with our game node.